Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily. Welcome to you live from Port Harcourt. I'm Chamberlain also.
Well, it is a beautiful Tuesday morning from here in River State. I'm Kaido Kikulu.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome to the program.
Well, it's going to be a key day because the schools are going to resume. Remember, they had said that the graduating students have got to go back to school after the back and forth between government, schools, but even parents, because quite a number of them were concerned and still are about what measures have been put in place in those schools. Are they satisfied? I mean, have those schools put in place such that parents will at least not worry as such or as much as they would, because, I mean, we're still grappling with COVID-19 in the country. Many still looking to see when vaccines will be available such that we can address and tackle this once and for all. But it's going to be very interesting. Mm-hmm. There are talks about whether or not fees will be paid at some point when schools resume, the online learning platform or portal. So all of those equations are some of the things that the parents will be wondering to see, how will all of these things play out? Because look, on the 17th of August, that's when the exams will hold.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've talked about industries that have been affected by COVID, aviation, but education is actually major because, I mean, they are children and obviously all of them need to get quality education. Yes, the government has said there's a window between now and the 10th of August for schools to reopen. So the schools are meant to communicate the dates to the parents. But don't forget that ASU says they're not ready to reopen. So if those students are going to write those examinations, Wike and the rest, where are they going to? When will they go to those schools? Those are the big questions. And don't forget the ones that have to grapple with online learning also. That's a huge challenge. I was with a child trying to, learn online. I think, well, it was a 4-year-old, and I actually will be stressed trying to learn that way. And you can imagine a 4-year-old trying to learn that way. So certainly the education sector has been grossly affected, if I can use that term. So yes, we're trying to move back, but then a lot of challenges. Like you said, are they going to pay for tests? Yes, some states have said they don't have to pay. But some are saying, well, don't pay for tests, but pay for fees. Some parents have not been making money in this time, but they still have to pay for their children's school fees. So it's a lot, but we'll see how this plays out.
And to add to that, the fact that yesterday during the briefing, the PTF COVID-19 was a little concerned about, so schools are resuming now. What are the challenges that we need to surmount? Yes, we have talked about this severally. We have done everything we can, produced a 52-page document for, the education sector to line up with and abide by. Question that you want to ask is how many of them have submitted that annexure to confirm that indeed, public and private schools now, that we are indeed ready to take this on. That's one. Secondly, is the fact that, of course, we have talked about some of the challenges that, the parents themselves are contending with. How about the students themselves? Well, you just talked about that 4-year-old. Please put that in the age of the 18-year-old who is going back to school and he's supposed to maintain physical distance from, their classmates. It's one of the concerns that the Minister of Education raised when he said, look, we're not just going to resume school yet. And he said something crucial. When the cameras are there, we abide. But when the cameras are not there, what do we do? I think that's the major challenge here, now that we're going to return to schools.
Well, the government in their circular, they say that 104 unity schools are ready to reopen, but don't forget that you have a huge component of public schools. Absolutely. So how will they play out? If they have to make use of the public transportation to get to schools, the burden students, so many questions. But they say, look, they have to do what they have to do.
Absolutely.
But, all right, so there you go. We'll be back and take a look at how do the dailies reflect some of these developments in just a moment. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the dailies now. We'll start with Nigerian Tribune, and they reflect what will be happening today. As schools reopen today, look at the now. FG orders returning students to undergo temperature check. That's one of the requirements, actually, that they needed to get that temperature gotten such that they could always use it when schools go. So there you go. Begins decontamination of Unity schools. Ogun makes COVID-19 test free for boarding students. Delta allows only 20 students in class. Kwara distributes face masks. So this is the contamination. Well, one thinks that, I hope it's not just today that you started this, because it says begins that today. You thought that, okay, well, shouldn't this have happened time and again?
Before now.
And then you're just following up a little bit more today as to begin? Because chances are, if it's today that is beginning, you might be in a hurry to finish it. And when you're usually in a hurry, sometimes there could be some loose ends, but not to cause any panic anywhere, just an innocent observation, as it were. Okay, so these other stories at the bottom strip now. Nigeria's debt stock rises to 30 trillion naira. Oh, wow. So, wow, there you go. That's additional materials that I would like to see, look, what's with all of this and how is it being utilized? So those questions will always be there. That's Nigerian Tribune today.
We'll take a look at the Vanguard next and what's making headlines for the Vanguard this morning. It's been something that, well, it's been trending for a while, and this is an update. NDDC contract. And you see the headline, Ibori, Kalu, Uduanga confront Akpabio. That's right. That story is on page 5. But take a look at the riders. This one, Akpabio, calm down. I don't know if this is a reference to that video, but here's what the rider says. Akpabio, calm down. I took no contract from NDDC. Now that's credited to Ibori. Yeah. And this next one, his allegations false, Uduanga. Issues at stake in NDDC about missing funds and not jobs done. That's Kalu. And there's this report on how IMC spent 3.175 billion naira as palliatives on COVID-19 in 2 months. Now that is coming from the Senate. More riders, no fraud, conspirators raising false alarm. NDDC insists. So clearly we've not heard the last on that NDDC saga, if I can use that term. And there's this one right under the big picture. Edo 2020. Oshiomhole, Izeyamu have lost hope, depending on propaganda as lifeline. That's coming from Igbinovia. That's Izeyamu's former strategist. September the 15th is just a few hours away for some people. Yeah, politicians, for us it's weeks and months away, but for some people they're actually there already. So it's getting heated, as you would expect. A couple of more stories still from Edo. We'll meet violence with violence, says Oshiomhole. Those are statements we don't want to hear, definitely. And Obaseki's aide gives a response saying, lying on TV won't save him. More details on page 43. And there's this one which we need to also pay attention to. Insecurity worsening rapidly. That's coming from governors. We saw what happened with the Borno State governor, and now governors are coming together to say, well, we're not going to lie about this. It is getting worse. The big question is, what are we doing to stem this tide?
And there are quite a number of people in that value chain of what are we doing about security. On the one hand is the much talked about segment, which is the federal government. On the other hand, our states, Chimelin talk about that a lot. And then there is a component of the locals. We say security is local, or rather insecurity is local. What can they do, really? Are they helpless?
Big questions there, really. A couple of other stories. No loans clause ceding Nigeria's sovereignty to China, says Chinese Foreign Ministry. We're still waiting for that hearing.
Well, did it attach the contract?
Just for evidence, so we know.
Any PDF?
Maybe you have to find out page 14 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Obviously, there's a lot we need to find out about that. And you know what? Let's show you some sports stories today, really. And this one talks about earnings of footballers. That's Vanguard Sport. Igalo dusts Osimhen as highest earning Nigerians in Europe. If you hear how much these young lads get to go home with, you know that obviously sports is not something you should maybe discourage your children from, maybe. And you see Man United to pay £108 million Sancho fee in installments. A couple of other stories, sports page of Vanguard this morning, but we'll leave it there.
Sometimes you wonder, did COVID even affect these transfer fees?
Well,
some of
them said they will actually cut their transfer fee and their earnings, but
they will cut it.
Yeah, they'll take a cut, actually.
Okay.
Well,
let's just The Guardian newspaper is concerned about something that many of us have been talking about, which is the vaccine for COVID-19, and that's the lead of The Guardian this morning. Nigeria misses out on COVID-19 vaccine trials. What does that mean? You may want to find out the details on the front page of The Guardian. Continues on page 6. Only South Africa, Egypt participating in project. Experts fear phobia may scuttle efforts. Well, we may want to find out really what does this mean, because Nigeria was part of some conversations with other nations and the WHO about this, but what this means you may want to find out on the inside pages of the paper today. And that picture is talking about reopening of schools, but NUT PTF express fear as schools reopen today. Teachers vow to withdraw services if not protected. Schools, parents, students excited, ready for resumption. It's a mixed bag.
I think we should define protection here, so we know what to expect, really. So teachers will even know what to expect. So are you expecting PPEs, for example, and the whole suit? Maybe not. Maybe that's a stretch. But I mean, the basics: sanitizers, hand washing equipment, face masks. Of course, I think everybody should have at this time. But I think it's important to have that guideline. What does protection mean? So we don't drop the ball. I mean, for the teachers, for the students, and also we know that this is what we expect, and if you're not meeting it, then something needs to be done.
Well, since it's not something we're discussing for the first time, let's just hope that the authorities of each school already has this covered, because it was part of what we were raising with them. Full stories on the strip there: why ShopRite is quitting Nigeria's retail market, airline sacks 75 pilots over financial constraints, Senate report says NDDC spent 4.9 billion naira on medical checkup, and Kaduna Christians threaten to defend themselves. That's the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Or take a look at Daily Trust next. We're vulnerable to attacks. Governors to meet Buhari service chiefs say insecurity getting out of hand. Governor's action belated, security experts. So it's something that, they want to see beyond this rhetoric, such that, because at this point you don't want to get to, where, yes, they say it's out of hand already, but there are times you just wonder if they need to do something about the laws. If the governor say their hands are tied, they're vulnerable, what should the next steps be? If it's not working, as they say it's not, and time and again you see some attacks, shouldn't we be having another look at some of those existing laws and see, okay, what is going on wrong? Is it about operationalizing the existing laws, or what? So,
because we can't be doing the same things expecting different results.
Yeah, because if the National Assembly also did pass that vote saying, look, they want to service chiefs to take a bow and go. So, assuming that happens, is there a guarantee that all of this will fizzle out?
Plus, one of the core components of this whole insecurity thing, which a number of people whom we have spoken with have said, is one of the main problems is unemployment. So what are we doing about that one?
Okay. Yeah, there you go. But look at this one. We're still worried over school reopening. FG. You thought that would be for parents, right? But this is FG. So, you need to actually delve into this and see, okay, in context, don't forget, you need to put that in context and find out, because they are the ones who were saying, in the previous headline, we indicated that 104 unity schools were ready to open. That's directly controlled by the government. So when you put that into context, you just may make sense out of it. Job losses loom as ShopRite moves to leave Nigeria. Potential buyers named, its divestment source.
It's one of the cases of trying to define the terms. No, we're not leaving, really. We're still going to be here, but under different terms. But social media was a gog.
You will see me, but you will not see me. Something like that.
But that's...
The devil is in the detail. That's Daily Trust this morning.
Well, next is leadership for you. Let's see how the leadership leads this morning. And the paper leads with Ondo Edo polls. Yes, we're keeping our eyes closely on that. And you see, FG warns politicians against flouting COVID-19 rules. That's right. don't let's forget that COVID-19 is still very much with us. As much as I don't like to say that, that is a reality. And I think the federal government has given some volume to that. It says skeptics must change their behavior. Because yes, I mean, skeptics have a right really to express their opinions and think what they want. But the challenge here is skeptics can affect others. I mean, imagine if you don't adhere to the guidelines because you don't believe in it, and then there's someone right next to you that believes in it, tries everything he can or she can, but then because you don't believe in it.
Well, you know, whether you're skeptical or not, the law is out there. The regulations are, authorities are there to enforce certain things. So at this point, you may just need to pocket your skepticism when you get to those places. Who knows? Because it is what it is, really.
Absolutely.
And you see, add to that the fact that there are more than 44,000 Nigerians, you know, some have gone out of it, but many are still in that saddle. So,
and don't forget, some have died.
Some, it's just a sad reality.
Yeah. More riders. PTF INEC moved to ensure strict compliance during campaigns. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how that will play out. I know a lot of people have been asking e-campaigns, you know, virtual campaigns and what have you. So we'll see how this is enforced because it's important. We know how campaigns work in Nigeria where people come together. In fact, the more the people, the more you will say you have, you know, backing of the people. So we'll see how INEC and
some will say if churches, you know, who depended on crowd movement or the crowd to feed off crowds would do well with it, how much more politicians?
But don't forget that debate. Some people are asking elections to be essential services. So maybe campaigns can also be termed essential, but
essential components
of the essential services. But more riders on the front page of the leadership this morning. Uncertainty in Ondo PDP as stakeholders warn against division. FG inspects 104 unity schools, we talked about that earlier, to announce next phase of eased lockdown on Thursday. PNB donates 67 million naira PPEs. Guess what? To Sao Tome and Principe. I mean, a lot of people saw that and they thought, oh, that's good. Good show of brotherliness. I mean, at a time like this, Nigeria has received, now it's time to give out. A virus unlikely to be transmitted through breastfeeding. Yet another one comes out from UNICEF. And I think this might clear the air.
For another reason for people to take responsibility increasingly because this thing is real.
Yeah. Well, let me show you this one just before we wrap up with the leadership. Discos make brisk business in transformers and meters. You see, as stakeholders, consumers groan over epileptic power supply. You know, some people complain to me about this trend. So they agitated for prepaid meters, okay? So when they got it, guess what? Supply dropped. And they thought, wait a minute. I mean, when we're having estimated billings, the supply was at least steady. It wasn't the best, but they got prepaid and it just
Well, you take solace in the fact that they now have to pay for what they consume.
Which is not much anyway. They don't get as much power. But,
but if it increases, then they can be sure.
Okay, that's the leadership for you this morning.
News Direct leads with fear grips aviation sector as Air Peace sacks over 70 pilots. It's not the kind of thing you want to wake up to in the morning, but it is what it is right here on the front page of News Direct. You'll find the story on page 4. Under that picture right there, a couple of stories. COVID-19, SON introduces guidelines for tourism resumption. Well, that story is on page 10, and it'll be interesting to find out what the guidelines are for tourism. Governor Abiodun stops 25,000 naira payment for COVID-19 tests for private secondary school students, apologizes to parents. That story made the rounds quite a bit, but you find that story on the inside pages of News Direct. Right above the nameplate, reps to set up 30-man committee to accelerate passage of PIB. About time. This shouldn't be what we want to do anymore, shouldn't it?
What we want to do?
Or it should be what we have done.
Oh, right.
It's been on for too long.
Oh, that makes sense then.
EFCC secures final forfeiture of 827.6 million naira from NDDC contractors. Find out the details of that on page 4. And COVID-19, taxation keeping Nigeria afloat, says FIRS. Find that on page 14.
So if we want to keep Nigeria even more afloat,
Chamberlain is smiling. I wonder why.
Yeah, I've got the next paper actually. The Abuja Inquirer, that's the next one here today. Loan controversy. China, only country with low interest rate. I may cheat. What does that mean? Does that mean that, look, we have no option? Or what? I don't know. That's what it reads here. And then, Serap wants court to compel Buhari to give details of loans. So who knows? Perhaps this might put a lot more perspective and such people can then speak, because at this rate it's just your word against mine.
Yeah.
Maybe the National Assembly members might have seen some part of that document. That's why they might have been concerned, but who knows if it will go away. And speaking about FIRS, look at this one. Stamp duty, not reason for rent increment. FIRS. Oh dear.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, they could say this, you know, but what you tell the landlord, look, make sure you add this. But you know how these things happen. Just like when you have salary increases, or when labor goes on strike and then they get some sort of, after the arguments, something happens, they come to an agreement. Market people always respond differently.
There's always that ripple effect.
They internalize these things differently. So when you don't have those boards, those regulatory authorities to ensure things don't get out of hand, people are not taken advantage of, who knows? Well,
And appropriate communication, not just inform people.
Who, the FIRS?
Yes. Communicate these policies. That is why people easily flout these things. You just pass the information out there, people can interpret it whichever way they want. But if you educate them about it, I mean, it should go a lot.
Well, not forgetting that no matter what happens, they will still, you know, interpret it whichever way they think it is. But it could maybe help give them an informed basis.
Absolutely.
To make those interpretations or do deductions or conclusions.
Can
but
we
that's
just
the
simplify this? I mean, would people be paying more rent or not? Who will be paying more rent? Who will not be paying more rent?
It's not something that can be done by fire, actually. There's so many factors, variables that will be put into consideration before they take that. Unless you tell me you're a landlord.
Sounds like you're speaking for a landlord.
Speaking for reality, really.
Okay, let's take a look at the Daily Times for you. See this one: oil gas sector crisis looms as federal government states relax more COVID-19 restrictions. If you're trying to piece that together, trying to understand how that, comes together, well, more details on page 2 of the Daily Times this morning. And there's this editorial on the partial closure of Third Mainland Bridge. I mean, a lot of people have given their stories, how this has affected them. But you might want to take a look at what that one is saying right there. And you see this one, it's captioned corruption. In cat and mouse game, Akpabio searches for NDDC contractors. And that's in parentheses right there, contractors in parentheses. And you wonder, how hard can it be to find these contractors?
Well, who knows? Who knows? Because sometimes the more you hear and see, the less you understand. Well, that's a look at some of the dailies here today. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Yes, we're joined now by His Excellency Nyesom Wike, Governor of Rivers State. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, coming into the town and looking around, we see people wearing face masks, but you still have quite a number of people who are not on the streets. And so sometimes you wonder, how is this strategy? How are you approaching this? Are you resigning to fate because people are doing what they're doing about compliance?
Well, of course, you know that it will be very difficult with a population of about 7 million people. And for you to say that you have a strategy to make sure everybody complies. But the point is that at least quite a great majority of the people who are, of course, following the protocols. And what we're trying to do was set up a task force to implement the compulsory wearing of the face masks. And, we're a country where most people do not even believe that this is real, And part of it is that because, like I said to them, is because you've not lost somebody. whom you know. If you have lost somebody directly, then you know that, frankly speaking, it is real.
Is it helping the awareness?
Of course it is, because if we told all the major shops that look, if we come around and you're dealing with people who are not wearing their masks, we shut down the malls or the shops, as the case may be. Why I have not been able to open the markets is just how do I handle the issue of the markets? Because of course, you know, people, the kind of crowd and the rest of it. Well, the various unions are coming for the meeting that look, they will comply. So, and well, so they have said they will comply, likely will open up all the market. But what's important there that look, to wear your face mask. So we think that it will not be an easy thing for you to say, oh, you took a decision, everybody will comply at the same time. No. But when you begin to apply sanctions, then they will see that, oh, government is very serious. And some people will be prosecuted. It's just like when we started, when we locked down the area, I said, look, everybody stay at home. Some people felt it's not going to work, and they go on the road, and we have to arrest them and then prosecuted them. So people that knew that, oh, this is serious. So at that point, people now started withdrawing. Look, we won't go out. Government is serious about this. So,
but how are you able to manage the end of the market where we're told that some people, well, since they know that they can't go to the markets at daytime, they resort to going in the middle of the night?
That again is something we have to tackle. We have also sort of a task force to make sure that that does not happen. You know, Nigerians believe to find one way to beat whatever policy or rules you set up. They must find something to make sure that, look, okay, no problem. We'll say that we won't go to the market now. In the midnight, or people will know that we are trading. Find something to make sure that they beat that rule. So, but now we have also understood their own game plan. So we're also going to make sure that it does not work. You must apply the big stick. If not, nothing will work in this country.
Now, I see that COVID-19 has also affected, budgeting. You just reviewed the budget from 530 to 300 billion naira, and it's clearly affecting current and capital and recurrent expenditure. But the tricky part is that you said that it will still not affect the delivery of good projects to the people of the state. So the challenge is, how are you going to balance that?
No, well, what I mean that, what that means is that, look, from 500 to 300 something billion. But if you find out that the capital still has more than a recurrent, right? Now, all those promises that were made, of course, we cannot give 100% based on because of the COVID-19 effect. But that if we have made, say, 100 promises, for example, and we're able to achieve 60% of the promises made, then the people will be happy. The people will be happy. And that's why most of the projects we think that they will have an impact on the economy of the state has been carried out. I mean, if you go around the state today, you'll see the total urban renewal, you'll see the health sector, you see the education sector. Well, we will not achieve 100%, which is not expected based on the COVID-19. But Rivers people will be happy that, look, in spite of the fact that this thing has affected the economy of the state, we're able to get to this point of 60%. I think it's not necessarily the amount of money. You can have even 80% of your budget. But it is you using it in order to improve the lives of the people. I mean, we have had where the federal government have projected, or some states have projected, and they get up to 70% of the revenue. And yet, the people are complaining, nothing is going on. So for me, it is not the amount of money, but even the little that you've gotten, how have you been able to apply it to improve the lives of the people and to make sure that your state gets the basic infrastructures?
Let's get to politics now.
Yeah.
I mean, you are chairman of Edo Governorship Campaign Council, and there's so much going on about that preparation. At the moment, would you say that having been going back and forth in Edo State and back here to coordinate activities, how are things turning out?
If there's one election I think that should be easy to win, I think is the Edo election.
Easy to win?
Yes, easy to win. It's very simple. You see why I say it's very simple is that this is will test whether Nigerians love themselves or not. This will show whether Edo people love themselves or not.
How do you mean?
4 years ago, the former national chairman of the APC said, look, of everything he has achieved, that was the brain box of the PDP candidate, Obaseki. It is very clear, he said so, that look, this young man who uses contact and connections, uses brain to make sure that he achieves what he has achieved. And even went further to say, look, that he would prefer the name the great government as Godwin Obaseki's house. He said so. Now, the same man said, look, the PDP candidate in 2016 election was not electable. Why was he not electable? Because he said, I didn't say, I'm only quoting what Oshimole said. I didn't say. He said, this young man, he can't trust him with money. Now, you are coming to Edo people now. The same person you cannot give appointment to trust him with money is the same man now you are telling Edo people who can trust him with Edo people's money. You said that this man poured acid on a student. He's a fellow student. And so destroyed the manhood of that student. And so that man cannot raise family any longer. The same person that you want to sell to 80 people. You said, and I remember that it was channels who interviewed him, Shehu Okumbalaye. And the man told him, look, this man is a fake pastor. I didn't say. I'm only quoting what he said. Now you come to Edo people again. Look, I want to present this same candidate to you that you have told us that it cannot be allowed to be governor of Edo State. What does that tell you? So you think that the whole people of Edo, they are fools? No, you see what they are telling us? That's why we said this election is not a question of Obaseki. It's a question of integrity, credibility.
So you certainly don't buy when people say in campaign, politicians promise and say all sorts of things.
That this is the time now you should stop it. This is the time now Edo people, Nigeria should say enough is enough. Take for example, I read on pages of the newspaper yesterday, where Yamu said, everything Oshimole said was politics. Fine. Now what are you telling us? Everything you are saying today is also politics. So you are making promises to Edo people, and tomorrow you will not fulfill. Then you say it is politics. You can't continue to insult Nigerians. You can't continue to say Edo people don't know their left and right.
But you know, he has since recanted those things. So
he never recanted. What Oshimole said is that I'm sorry for bringing Obaseki. But he has not said, oh, all those things I said, I fabricated them. They're all lies. Forgive me for telling lies. If you come start now to Edo people and say, look, I said this man poured acid on his fellow student. I said this man, I can't trust him with money. I said this man is a fake pastor. I said this man was facing EFCC. Do you want to vote for a man facing corruption? Edo people, are we fools? Now, if he now comes now to Edo people, look, I'm sorry, I didn't know that all those things I was saying are not correct. Then Edo people, now you are talking. Now you are talking. But not to say, I'm sorry for bringing Obaseki. We agree. Then whom are you bringing?
But in the same way, Your Excellency, the PDP had demarketed the current governor Obaseki when he was in the APC. And now the same PDP is saying he's doing a great job. So, I mean, shouldn't we widen
the court has settled that issue. The court settled that issue.
What issue?
PDP said, look, this man had no certificate. This man committed perjury. And the court settled it in the tribunal. So it's not a question of demarketing. There's nothing to demarket now, because it does not exist. But this one you are saying, look, in fact, the chairman of the Buhari's anti-corruption crusade, Professor Sage, Oshomole quoted him and said he was the chairman of the panel that indicted their candidate. Oshomole said that Professor Sage was the chairman of the panel that indicted their candidate now. Now, you tell me, a man who has integrity, a man who has conscience, assuming you're an APC, you have conscience, you go and stand by the same person and campaign.
But Your Excellency, was that case really determined by the courts? I thought that they dismissed it because it wasn't filed within the stipulated time. Because I think the APC said they will still challenge that in court and file at the appropriate time.
Well, that is their own concern. That is their own concern. As far as we are concerned, that issue and it does not exist. It does not exist.
But the court cases aside,
yes.
I mean, beyond that, there are times the PDP has said time and again that this governor is not performing, and it's on record time and again saying Governor Obaseki has not performed in the past 4 years.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the court case, I'm talking about statements that were made.
No,
and they pointed, they pointed to some project and said, this was what we expected him to do. He didn't do it. So that's what the PDP was saying. But the same PDP now is saying, it's like the best thing since sliced bread.
Can you cite one example that PDP said that you have not performed?
Oh,
then I will refer you why it was said. So it's not a good thing for me to say generally PDP says it's not correct.
So you're saying
now you must also understand that performance is relative. Performance. It depends on who is saying that you're not performing. Right? In this state, even of all everything I have done, if you ask APC, they will say, I have not performed. But you and I know, in this country today, if there's one state that is working, it's part of the COVID effect and the rest, but this state is working. So that's not to compare, to say, I come to the public and say, you are trusted with money, I know you. You put acid on your fellow student. You don't make that kind of comparison. Now, okay, let us say this. Assuming I married. My wife loved me so much. My wife never knew aspect of me that I put acid on a fellow student. Now, by Oshumole, coming up to say that, you have not let the wife know. You know the effect on the children. Daddy put acid on a fellow student. Did he go to court that time to challenge Oshumole? To say, this is defamation. You cannot. I never did that. It has to do with the integrity. It's not a question of propaganda. Somebody said, just like, for example, now, when this day wrote with a friend like Wike, Obaseki met his Waterloo. Now you want me to keep quiet and not to go to court against this day? I've gone to court. No, you cannot tell me you said something that affects my character, my integrity, and I keep quiet because we are playing politics.
But some will also say, Your Excellency, that that is what politicians do. At any time they want to demarcate whoever is in the opposition. For instance, Pastor Iyamu that we're talking about today was a member of the PDP and probably would have been the card carrying, the flag bearer of the PDP in this election. So some would be wondering, look, what we are talking about today, what the PDP is saying about Obaseki today, will probably be what they will be saying about Pastor Iyamu if he was their candidate. So it goes back to the issue of political marketing the other time.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree. Now, if I say that Obaseki has not performed, it's different from when I say Obaseki was involved in armed robbery. Totally different. My view about performance may be different from your own view of performance. But I said, look, you were involved in armed robbery that happened in Ogun State. And you tell me it is politics. And you will not do anything about it.
I think this is a case of saying one thing at some point and then saying another thing. I mean, you have cited the example of Comrade Oshomole, and I cited the example of a PDP saying one thing at some point and saying another thing.
That is what I'm saying.
I think that's the issue.
Did we say that Obaseki is an armed robber, for example. Did we say that Obaseki was rusticated from university? These are personal things. This touches on your own integrity, your person. And assuming politicians have been saying that, assuming, we as Nigerians, Edo people, who want to throw their hand, anytime they come and tell us anything, we'll go ahead and do it. You see what you're telling me? So this election, there are so many things about this election. It has nothing to do with Obaseki, like I said. First of all, it is Edo people, will you continue to allow this godfatherism? Will you continue to allow this godfatherism? Is it not an opportunity now to say to an end of this so-called godfatherism? You wake up in the morning, you come and tell Edo people something. In the night, you call the same Edo people. No, that thing I said in the morning, I didn't mean it. No, how do we now know the one that you meant? So it's for Edo people now to say, look, no. Enough is enough. So nobody should come and tell us this about politicians,
But that will not be the sole determinant of what happens in this election.
Let me tell you, the mere fact that Obaseki resisted this godfatherism should even be one reason Edo people should vote for him. Assuming, though not conceding, that he did not perform. Assuming, as they said, but which I know is not correct. But let us agree with them. But the mere fact that Obaseki was to stand to say, look, sir, we can't continue this way. And so, that we should make you to vote for him.
All right, excellent. We'll come back to this in just a moment. Did he actually resist godfatherism? We'll talk more on that when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Welcome to you live from Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and we're having an interview with His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who is also the chairman of the Edo Governorship Campaign Council. Well, when you say that Governor Obaseki resisted godfatherism, many think otherwise. They thought, well, because there was a structure that brought him into power, and then the argument was that he didn't think it was necessary to fit the structure. Many thought, look, you saw all of these things were happening. You didn't speak up against it before you became governor. Then you become governor, and then you suddenly turn against the same system. And they thought, no, this is not the way it works.
It's very unfortunate. What structure? Fit what structure? People are given appointments. In fact, you know that I pitied him. And you know when he came out clearly to say, he's a governor, but not a governor. Every appointment is done by Oshimole. Those who contested local government elections, Oshimole. But they come Satan, they want to look, what is going on? Is it I will continue to move this state forward? No. That was the basis of the problem. I can't continue with this any longer. That is resistance.
But could that have been part of the agreement? Why is he not living up to his own end of the bargain?
What agreement?
They usually should have come to some sort of agreement before he came into saddle.
That if I want to go and take my bath, I have to come to him. If I want to go and sleep with my wife, I have to tell him.
I'm not sure that's how it's playing.
No. The point you're saying, everything you want to know first before he takes any decision. That is to enslave the people. That's enslavement. Because allow the governor, yes, by the special grace of God, you helped him, God used you to put him there. But does that mean that he has no say of his own? He wants to appoint who will be a special advisor, you must approve it. He wants to appoint who will be a commissioner, you must approve all. Every assembly member, he bought. Who does that in this modern time? But is it not okay? Assuming it was done, should we continue that way? Shouldn't we say, look, we should put a stop of this?
So on the one hand is the individual now in the person of the governor who is making this move. And many people are saying, of course, it's about time we put an end to godfatherism. On the other hand, are the people that are around him, which also speaks to why many of them seem to be living now. Is it that they are not in agreement with his style?
No, it's not correct. These are people appointed by Oshimole. It's a strategy. It's strategy. What he told them, and we all know this is in politics. Don't live at a particular, don't live once. You'll be living, this person lives this week. You live next week. So people will have that impression that there's a problem with the governor. No, it's not true. You remember when Sirike Dixon, former governor of Bayelsa State, during his second tenure, people were living at the eve of that election. What happened? Did he not win? You in Edo, 14 councillors left out of 100 and something councillors. In fact, I'm really surprised to tell you how good Obaseki is, that he still allowed everybody that Oshimole appointed to be his cabinet. From day one, when I know that we have disagreed, I would have sacked everybody. I would have, yes.
So for the fact that he didn't do it, and he's
Shows.
allowing this to play out now, some thought, look, isn't that some sort of...
No, what he did to show that, look, I think everybody has his own mind. It doesn't matter whether you brought this to the commissioner, but to their conscience. And that was what the governor did. Now, how you will know? Look at the campaign. Is it Yabu that is campaigning? Have you watched the campaign?
Okay.
It's as if Oshimole is one running an election. That's to tell you.
Okay, excellent. We'll come back to this in just a moment again. Please join us again.
I have pulled out. I've called the governor of Delta. I've called the governor. I've spoken with the governor of those states. I said, my brother, I'm no longer interested. I will not be involved again in a do settlement. And I've told the other, I'm not no longer interested in it. But I must challenge this. And so I've told my lawyers to write them. It was done in connivance with some members of the National Working Committee. And with this, I can no longer participate in the reconciliatory process that's going on in PDP. I will not.
They've destroyed generations of kids, left them on the streets, and they want to use these people to consume each other. They are not campaigning on what they can do because they have no records of what they've done. They know they will not win elections in this place. So what have they decided? Propaganda, lies, violence. They say they will come in, they will bring boys, they will come into those polling units, and they will make sure that our votes don't count. I wish them well. I wish them well. When I have all of you, let me see how they will come. You know, you will mobilize for yourselves.
Yes. 4 plus 4.
Nobody has monopoly of violence.
Yes.
If they want violence, we will show them violence.
Yes.
So if I see anybody, if you see anybody smashing any cars because my sticker or poster is in the car, let us know, and we will show that person that we're government.
Sunrise Deliver. Your Excellency, listening to some of those rhetoric, it does raise a lot of concern as to are we talking about violence again? This is not the kind of campaign or the kind of rhetoric that should be coming from politicians. It should be a peaceful one, because if they continue in this route, definitely there'll be people who may want to take hands or take laws into their hands. Shouldn't we deviate from threats of violence to counter with violence at this stage?
That's what PTP in Edo State is preaching. You've heard what the governor said, look.
I said we'll match violence with violence.
What?
He said if anybody thinks they can come here with violence, we will match them.
He didn't say that.
I thought that's part of what we just
said. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say so. He only said that all their own anti-propaganda are violence. And I wish them well. That's what he said.
But he said if I have you people here.
Of
and
course,
the people
you
say,
can resist
"Nah,
violence.
boys, stay here," that kind of
No,
thing.
no,
So,
no, let me tell you. And which people must understand. Our system, our political culture, you cannot run away from it. We have preached the day we went to campaign.
from violence, what can we run away from?
No, what I'm trying to say is that we went to campaign. You saw when the governor said, they are going to beat you. They are going to do this to you. Don't retaliate. They want to use violence to disrupt the election. Don't. And that's what she repeated. No, I'm coming.
Go ahead.
Did you watch the video? The candidate of APC, Nyesom, met with thugs and cultists. One Kabaka. When the man said, these are the lions and tigers of all the local governments, the candidate of APC told them, look, move from your unit to another unit, from there to other wards, because you have what it takes. Under the Electoral Act, you don't move from one unit to the other unit. But what does that tell you? Violence. That what they can do, most of these big men cannot do it. A candidate of a party, of a ruling party in Nigeria, meeting with thugs and cultists, telling them, move from your unit to another unit, to another ward. Have you seen the candidate of PDP preaching such? So who's talking about violence?
But, you know, I'm curious here because let me take a quote from Governor Obaseki. This is what he said. He said that nobody has a monopoly of violence.
Yes.
He went on to say,
yes,
if they want violence,
yes,
we will give them violence. Now,
yes,
that's word for word.
Yes, of course.
Verbatim.
What that means, don't cause violence. Take, for example, if somebody comes to cut my hand off, because I don't want violence, I like to cut my hand. No, because I don't want violence. Then when he cuts my hand, I run away. Then he goes free. He said I should report to who? Look, let me tell you something. That does not mean violence.
But that's what he said.
No. When you say violence, if I'm the one who's generating violence, if I'm not causing the violence, from the onset, I want to cause violence. That means you are the one causing violence. But you can't tell me an armed robber comes to attack you in your house, okay, and you do what?
So maybe the phrasing should have been, will be met with the arm of law, maybe not violence, because, I mean, that's what he has said. In fact, he has said, we'll show you we are the government. Now, that sounded like we're not going to be violent. We're going to show you that this is government, and we'll show the law. But this statement said it will be met with violence.
What he said is nobody has the monopoly of violence. You don't have the monopoly of violence. You don't come and tell me that, look, this is what I'm going to do. Because of my peaceful nature, because I want peace, and then you are coming to threaten me with violence.
Perhaps, Your Excellency, that's also pointing to what one would expect of a government.
Yes.
As a governor, he has security information. He will know when and where these things are going to happen,
yes,
perhaps how.
Yes.
As governor,
yes,
as the government of the day, he should know how to stem the tide, preempt it, and make sure it doesn't happen.
By using who?
By using the apparatus of state.
That is what we are talking about, security agents.
Yes.
You see, we must be realistic. Tell me, as an opposition party, you know what happened in my state? What security do I control during the election? What security? No, tell me, what security? As an opposition government, what security do I control? You saw it. How the military came to INEC to manipulate the system. You saw it. You saw it's not a question of because I'm a governor. No, that's not correct. And that is what we are saying that, look, those that will decide whether election will be free and fair, security agencies and INEC themselves. But unfortunately, in our system here. Security agencies will tell you they have come to do their work. But the day of the election is a different thing. Before you know it, they've taken over the collection center. Before you know it, they prevent the opposition party, even their own agents, from coming in. Now, in that situation, well, what do? You go to tribunal later.
But are they supposed to take laws into their hands?
What is taking laws into your hand? You do not take laws into your hand. In fact, you are only urging that they should not take laws into their hands.
But you actually know that many, because as voters, they want to hear what the parties in question have got to offer. So one wonders, is it a strategy to deflate from some of what will be the key issues? Because something all may not be well within your party. In fact, I hear some party members say, the governor is acting like a technocrat. He's not releasing money for campaign funds. The party is not campaigning. They're not moving from local government to local government.
There are strategies. You know, what people do not understand is that, look, you have your own strategy. I have my own strategy. You may want to have started 2 days ago. My own strategy, no, I won't start that. I will start next week. Right? And the way I release my own funds may not be the style of releasing your own funds. Now, but you know, as politicians, those in the committee, they are worried, they want to start, they want to work. So that has nothing to do with that.
We understand that when Governor Tambuwa was there, the deputy governor, they had some frank talk. They spoke about it that, look, you need to change your style and release funds and let them be campaigns and jingles.
That is why you should, that's what I'm trying to say. That's why you should be able to support the governor. You see, if he says he's a technocrat, yes, he wants things done in a way that will achieve results. They may have a different strategy. So look, this is not the way we should do it. We should do it quickly. Because these people are already in the field. Let's go to the field. And the governor said, I agree with you. Don't worry. We'll do it this way. And they've started.
They just started?
They started yesterday. You have your own timetable. You don't go by the timetable of your opponent. No.
If I follow up on some of the issues my colleagues raised a while ago, when they talk about people who are leaving the party. Now, there are also people also ask, look, if he's really a politician who understands this game, how many elected officials has the governor come to the party or has he brought into the party? The people who are there are the people who he met on ground. Senators, members of the House of Reps. Yes. How many has he brought?
Now, that is a mistake some of us make about strategy. Who told you that? Do you know the agreement I have with the senators? Why not I say, look, senators don't come, stay. If that is spoiling role, then you believe that the senator will work for you, but it's not going to work for you. Everybody has his own strategy. Some people will want, no, move now. Right? To show. Some people say, no, don't move, stay back.
Your Excellency.
That's strategies.
So, Your Excellency, how much of these strategies, how far do these strategies go in really addressing the issues that the people are interested in? You know, Chamberlain was talking about the other time, that how these things involve or affect the voter. So how do these strategies that you talk about by, politicians, especially what is going on in those days, how does it factor in the voter? How does it factor in the people who they are meant to be in office to serve?
Look, I've told you that the core issue in this election, as I speak to you, is to determine one thing. And that one thing is, should we allow godfatherism to continue?
As opposed to serving the people?
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that it has never helped. Once you have a godfather who determines everything, the person will not concentrate on governance. But the point I'm trying to say about selling yourself to the people, this is already a governor. It's not as if he's coming in. It's already a governor. Those people know him. They know all he has done. But I can even tell you, what will play out in this Edo election has to do with people of integrity, people who have conscience, people who can say, look, this is what I said in the morning. This is what I will say in the afternoon.
So where is the place of this is what I have done. Because when you campaign, Your Excellency, even some other party members, other governors, in spite of the opposition that was against them, they were working and they were telling the people, this is what I have done. You can see what I have done. But they say he's not talking about what he has done.
Those states, who told you? You watched yesterday this campaign, when he was rolling out the things I've done and what you continue to do. It's not a question of what people are saying. It's not what APC is saying. No, you don't expect APC to say, Obaseki has done well. How? But at least, one credit I've given to him, who to somebody said, he was the brain behind whatever success he made in Edo State.
You know, I cast my mind back to the beginning of this conversation where you said that this is going to be an easy process for you. In fact, I think you've said this will be the easiest.
Yes,
you probably ever
it's ought to be the easiest election.
But look at what has been happening.
Yes.
We talked about the defections earlier, and you said that, well, maybe there are people that were put there and he didn't really... But you realized that just yesterday, the Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly also said, I'm no more doing this with you. And this is someone that during that whole, fracas of the State Assembly, he was saying, I am behind the governor.
If you know how the governor had managed, and that is why we must all come out to say, God's father's name must end now. If you know how the governor had endured, kept them. But they were brought by somebody. The governor had no hand in picking anybody to run election. For him, is to go and serve. But not knowing that somebody will not even allow you to govern.
But some of those people gave reasons that, you know what, I can't leave APC.
They must always
the reason they gave was, I cannot leave APC because this party made me. The fact that you are going to the PDP does not mean I have to go with you. So it didn't have to do with this was the person that brought me in or not. It was just party affiliation.
If today you want to defend, it must have a reason. But all of us know that's not correct. If Oshimole is going to another party now, they will join Oshimole. So it is not a question of this is the party that made me. If you say this is the party that made me, was it the party that brought Oshimole to power?
So where is ideology in all of this? Because
that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is why I said this is the time now, using Edo experience in this election now. Enough is enough of telling us stories of what you don't believe in. For you to say it's the style of politicians. No. It's for us to use this election to say, if this is what politicians are saying, to be deceiving you, to come and tell me how somebody is not electable because of this and this and this and that, and then you come back to tell you a different thing, bringing the same person, you should say, no, enough is enough of this. I don't think, you think I'm not intelligent? You think I'm a fool? I mean, I watched a video where somebody was telling Edo people, how can you elect somebody who has corruption case, moving from one court to the other? Now the same somebody have brought the same man who has EFCC case for Edo people now to elect. And then you sit down as a Edo person. Come, I didn't go to school, I have no head. You wake up in the morning, you tell me this. You wake up in the afternoon, you tell me this. No. So it's an opportunity now for people to say, okay, we have had enough of this. Now stop. We must continue with this man.
But
we must continue with this man.
Your Excellency,
and that's Obaseki.
I don't know how easy that will be going forward, especially across the nation.
Yeah.
Because virtually everyone who has become governor has been recommended by one, governor or the other who is, outgoing.
But recommendation is a different thing. When you say recommendation, it's a different thing. Take, for example, look at the campaign. Why not allow the man, the candidate who's run the election, to be the one campaigning? When you see somebody, you see him on top of the jeep.
But I thought that's political strategy that you politicians all adopt.
No. What is trying
governors
to tell you,
were in Edo as well. PDP governors.
What is trying to tell you, it's not. What is trying to tell you is that without me, I'm the face of this election. Without me, will not win the election. So Edo people, that's what is starting to do. Edo people is voting for Eze Yamo because of me or Oshimole.
But Your Excellency, that's probably what's going to happen when you also recommend someone.
Who told you I'm going to recommend someone? Okay, who recommended me?
Okay.
Who's my godfather? That's why I'm concentrating my work. Have you ever had any day where there's any crisis in this state. Mention one in terms of you got federalism and this, or you're an assembly, we are not working together, because nobody can claim he brought assembly people. Nobody can claim he brought a council chairman. And that was why in our last Congress, PDP Congress, there's only state you can't say acrimony. Why? I made it clear. I made it open. Nobody will be in charge. Nobody will say, I'm in charge of this local government. Everybody go to your ward.
So you're saying you wouldn't recommend anybody?
I'm not, I have said so severally. Because at the end of the day, it does not work. You must go back to history. Because history is the past, the present, and the future.
But there were frantic efforts while you contested, first, even the second time out, to ensure that at least people in the assembly, you had them behind you to support your campaign and your cause, so you can work with them after you win. But now in Edo State, 17 members.
No, you see that
they're not in the State House of Assembly.
Your comparison does not work. Let me tell you.
I'm talking about.
Oshimole handpicked these people. I did not handpick any assembly person. No.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about support base that will raise concern for party members.
Yeah.
They need to see those things and say, I can throw my weight behind this because he's got this, and that going for them. Yeah. Because if latest now being the deputy governor, deputy speaker
of the state,
who has left, bringing to 17 members in the assembly, so party members will worry. Look, even if we win this election, how are we going to woo them back? So it will be a job of work for them to
win them back. How? Take for example,
back to the party.
No. You see, that's why you must understand Nigerian political culture and the system. The same deputy speaker tomorrow, when a party comes back, don't be surprised he will come back. I mean, you see, that's why I say when you deal with people who have no character. But then that's the problem that we're having. And that's why I say use this as a test case now. Look, what happened in Edo State, for example. People now say, what happened in September 19? Therefore, in Soso State, didn't you see that what Edo did? They said, no, they don't want this God federalism again. Therefore, in our own state, for example, in Soso State, we also will do the same that Edo will do, so we can have good, we will have less rancor. That's the point I'm making. So it is not a question of saying in Nigeria, will it work? I'm not saying that it works everywhere, but you can start something from somewhere. I say, look, what people will tell you today, people tell you, look, why can't we be like Rivers? And then they ask, why, how? Rivers resisted this problem. Can't we resist rigging in our own state? It gives you encouragement. So if Edo today comes out to say, Edo will come out now to say, look, this is the end of God federalism. Allow people to present themselves, allow people to do their work. Then you in your own state, you will now say, Edo people did it. Therefore, we can do it. The problem in most states is this issue of, I sponsored you, I brought you, I made you. Therefore, before you sleep, come and tell me you're going to bed. No. So these are the things.
Someone will say, Your Excellency, someone will say it's easier said than done.
It is not. Take me as an example. No question of easier said. I'm a practical person. It's not a question of it's easier said than done. You see, it's because you people believe. Now, you see, you must rise up to certain things. You must rise up. Take for example, okay, we are talking about how do we have free and fair election. If Mr. President wants this election to be fair, it will be free and fair. How? How do you tell them, look, I want to use this as a test case to enthrone democracy. When Oshimole won a second tenure, Oshimole came to Aso Villa and thanked Mr. Jonathan, the former president. Dr. Jonathan, I thank you for enthroning democracy in Edo. I thank you for allowing one man, one vote. I thank you for allowing one youth, one vote. I thank you for allowing one woman, one vote. So what is wrong now? If Mr. President said there will be democracy, the people must vote, we will join Obaseki too and go and thank Mr. President, thank you for allowing democracy to take place. Thank you for allowing one man, one vote. That's what we want. As Jonathan allowed free and fair election in Edo State, Mr. President should also allow free and fair election that will make Nigerians to be happy. That's what we're trying to say.
You know, speaking about strategy, some concerns we gleaned from supporters in the party is that Nyesom was head of Atiku campaign in Edo State in 2019. And at that time, Atiku beat Buhari in that elections by winning 8 local governments out of 18. Now, 2 weeks after, it was 100 over 100 for the APC. They won everything. So members just worry and they ask, look, what could have happened at that stage if it's an easy election, as you say that's going to be? Isn't it someone who's got strategy in terms of they know their way around how to go?
That's what I'm saying now. It's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. When they saw that PDP won 2 senatorial seats and took some of the House of Reps seats. So for them, there's danger. What did they do? They underrated PDP at the national election. Then when it came to state election, they didn't know there was a problem. Then that's where you saw the master of all rigging by the security agencies. Mind you too, Jonathan, you're talking about 2015 election or 2019 election. 2019. Yeah. So they now know that, look, there's danger. We must do something now. And they have to fall back. And you now saw security.
You know,
he saw the play of it. So, for me, it's not a question of that election. If they had allowed people to vote the state election, PDP would have won. That's why you should ask yourself, how could you win Senate, House of Reps, then we didn't win Assembly? It tells you something.
So we need to go to break soon, but just quickly, what's your thought about all of these things making the rounds about the NDDC? Just wondering what you think.
What I have said before, and it's very clear, my concern is everybody knows that NDDC was set up for the development of the region. Unfortunately, they have turned it to a different thing. NDDC is a cash cow for politicians. When they are talking about probing IMC, and I said, look, what are you doing only with IMC? What about the other committees? Professor Bambafa and the rest of them? In my own election, NDC brought 10 billion naira cash to fight against me. So if they want to probe...
is that on record?
I can't... You know, they've not invited us. Why I don't want to go is about IMC. What am I doing with IMC? We are covering all the other ones. Why? If you want the problem, I was one governor who challenged NDDC. We went to the Federal High Court. The Federal High Court returned the matter to the State High Court. NDDC went on appeal. On appeal, we warned them. Said, look, go back to State High Court. And the State High Court, we have warned them. NDDC, you cannot go to a state and begin to carry out projects without the permission of the state government. You don't know what their plans are. You go to a school, you don't own the school. The state government owns the school. You begin to go and put structure. You go to a road, you don't know the plans of the state government. In fact, NDC will do road leading to only your own house. Everywhere is in a mess. So all these things, they're fighting themselves. We're not interested.
Does that make the governors powerless? Can't they do
Okay,
anything
well,
about
he will
it?
respond to that when we come back from the break in just a moment. Please stay with us.
No man is God. We come here today to challenge the people of this local government on the need to resist one man who now want to play God in the politics of Edo State. Are you going to allow him? No. Will you allow him? No. With all of you present here, we are taking this message to every ward in Edo State. Enough is enough. You know in the Bible, when Adam ate the forbidden fruit, he fell out of favor with God. Today in Edo State, he has fallen out of favor with God and with man. In APC, he has been driven away as chairman of their party. Is that not a sign that he has fallen out of favor with God? Over the last 4 years, we have started to work for Edo people. Our emphasis is on the youths. This election is about the youths. It's about your future. We do not want a few people to sit down and tell us, give money to this person and this money to this person. We want to put more money in education. I want to finish building the technical college in Nigeria here. I need the money to build technical college in Nigeria. I want all of you youths to have work. I want to train you. Igara is lucky. You know why you're lucky? Because BDC will be history soon. We are bringing electricity to Igara. We have started the work already. We are bringing a line from Okpila to Igara.
Yes, Your Excellency, we were talking about the NDDC before we went on that break, and just raised a question with me that I've asked a number of times. So there is the NDDC and its, constitutional or legal relationship with the president of the country. But then there's also the responsibility of states. You mentioned the other time that, look, if you want to do something in my state, you need to be able to carry me along. But with all of these mess that's going on, all this talk back and forth about the NDDC, money being stolen and all of that, are the governors in the South helpless?
Well, let me correct. When you say carry me along, in Nigerian palace now, when you say carry me along, people will tap it that, oh, you should give me some contracts and this. So I'm not talking about carry me along.
Oh, wow.
What I said is that you cannot.
So it's not just English now.
No, it's political English.
What I said, look, you can't come into my state to disturb my development plan. You must let me know. I will say, look, this is what we want here. This is the school we want for now. But not just you waking up in the morning, go to a state, you begin to put up 6 classroom block. I mean, it doesn't work that way. Now, when you say the role of governors, ordinarily under the NDC Act, there should be governing board, made up of the governors, right? Since 2015, we have been asking of that board. It was only last year that the president was able to invite us to a meeting and consult the governing board. But that is just theory. Now, what's of it that, in South, out of 6 states before now, we have PDP governors. Only Edo was APC. Nobody consults the governors. No. Nobody consults the governors. Oh, they are PDP governors. Why do we have to consult them? Fine. So you don't even know what NDC is doing. That is why all these things they are talking about fighting themselves, they are not fighting themselves. Well, no government is interested.
But
so we don't have any power. So if not, we ought to sit down with you. We need regional projects. In River State, for example, I need social projects. So that tomorrow you can say, NDC did social project. In Akwa Ibom, the government will say, look, what we need now is how you can do this bridge down to this area. Tomorrow, the people will know that this is what NDC did. Is it education? Are you not ashamed that NDC is giving COVID to police and this and that? It's very embarrassing.
What informs your decision to protect indigents from River State with some actions, as we saw you do with former acting MD of NDDC and some other officials, because that's the way it comes across. Yeah. What informs that decision?
Well, I took out of office to protect life and property. It doesn't matter which party you belong to. It doesn't matter where you come from. In as much as you stay in River State, you do business in River State, therefore River State is my responsibility to protect life. Now, the person involved is not in my party, it's the APC. In fact, when you say who's the Buharis, if you say who's the Buharis, it's that lady. She's been with Buhari in AMPP, CPC, so, no. Now, She was in the lab. Unfortunately, my phone was off. My wife's phone was off. Around 4:30, she was calling. Now, when my wife woke up around 7:38 to prepare to go to court, of course, you know, in WhatsApp, when somebody calls you, you will see a missed call. So my wife had to call back. What is the problem? So, there are police people who have taken over her house. What happened? So he does not know. She does not know. So please, you should call the governor. So my wife came to wake me up. I said, oh, leave me with this the APC crisis. He said, no, that the woman is saying that people have come to take over her house, they want to whisk her away. That's okay. Where's the house? She now called the lady back, and the lady gave the address. To cut the story short, I went there. When I got there, I saw over 50 armed policemen. Well, I called them police because they were wearing police uniform. But you know, in these days, people can wear uniform and abduct you, and before you know, police will say, look, they are not there from police. You understand me? So I go there and say, look, what is going on? How could you come to a lady's house by 4:30? How? They cannot say a warrant of arrest. No warrant of arrest. Have we degenerated to the level that we have become a banana republic? You cannot invite the lady that she has a petition against her. And why would it be that same day she was going to testify in House of Reps? Why would it be that same day?
But you know,
what's the coincidence?
Some interpreted it as though you're meddling in some of these affairs. Others hope that you're not shielding anyone from anything.
Why would I shield? What is my name? Have you ever seen anybody call my name in these affairs? What am I going to? The point is that our police should we should do the work. It is very, very funny. And that's why my CP, I don't talk to him. I called him. He said he was not aware. I told the woman, okay, enter my vehicle. I have to protect you. Let's go. And since I done that day, I've never seen her. So I called the CP. CP came to my house, to my lodge, to the governor's lodge, and sat down with me. And I asked him what's going on. He said, look, he's up to that wire. This and that. I said, what? So he left. Later he came back. Oh, that they said that the petition about the NYSC certificate. I said, look at how people operate. Look at just within 1 hour now. There's not a petition about the. So is it a petition against our NYSC certificate that when you go to somebody's house by 4 a.m., by 4:30 a.m., a lady's house, you cannot invite her, let her refuse coming? I said, no, we don't do that. Because look at abductions taking place everywhere. Kidnapping. Nobody knows who. Look at what happened in Brunei. When the governor even said it, military, you don't know.
You know, clearly the NDDC is not delivering what it ought to the people of the Niger Delta. And I was going to ask about what you think the way forward is for the NDDC to function well. But I noticed you said something about your CP, and it borders on security. Yeah. You don't talk to your CP. And one is, so how do you manage security?
Well, I tried. No, what I'm trying to say, I called security council meeting. Okay. I do whatever I'm supposed to do. We discuss. But when I mean don't talk, that personal, no. Because like I said, integrity is very important. Conscience is very important. When I see that it lacks, or when I see that you tell me something in the morning, and then in the next 3 hours, you are doing a different thing, then I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay. Not that I have any personal, no. We attend security council meeting anytime I call security council.
So
yes, we do.
What would be that going forward for the NDDC? Some have recommended political solutions. Some have recommended, that the IMC should be taken out and the NDDC should go back to the way it is.
Whether it goes back to the presidency, it's not the same politician that will control the vote.
So what kind of solution do you know?
Well, for me, whatever solution I suggest will not be carried. I'm not in that party.
Well, give it anyway.
So there's no need you. We're breaking your head. Right now, what I will say, when PDP comes to power, I will suggest so if they will agree. But the point remains that, okay, why can't we remove politicians of heading NDDC? Why? If they're talking about development of a place, Why can't you say, okay, no more politicians, go and bring technocrats? To do this is a special work. But like I said, everybody, every politician wants to control NDC. It's whatever you see playing out, they know themselves.
Do you give any serious consideration to all of this? We don't know if it's actually 48 million barrels of crude they say was stolen from the country, particularly crude oil theft.
Well, I've always said I don't speak on issues, I don't have the facts. But what baffles me is when I hear 48 million barrels of crude that was taken away, I begin to imagine, what is our quota? What's our production level as at that time in a day? You see, these are stories that begin to make you to doubt. But like I said, I do not have the full facts, so I don't want to dabble into what I know. But the point is that there are stories you hear. I believe, can this be true? When 2015, what was our production quota? At that time, we had these insurgents very well. We had the vandalization of the oil facilities. So how could we have? So these are the kind of, I'm not saying that it may not be correct, but it gives you a doubt whether this actually is correct. So, but I said I do not have the full facts, so I don't want to dabble into what I have. I don't have facts.
Your convention, the PDP convention, will be coming up next year.
Yes.
And we know that PDP, they've always spoken about this zoning. In fact, some think is going to be a key factor, key determining factor of what happens or who emerges as, or who occupies what position in be it NWC or whatever key positions. Is that still going to be a key factor, zoning, in the next elections?
Well, I don't want to make my view known now. Because at the end of it, if I do that, then it becomes preposterous for me to go to a meeting and begin to convert the same issue. So that just what this is what I'm saying. It's our party. We'll go to the meeting. There will be meetings. We'll go to the meeting. And everybody will be able to look, this is my view. This is my take on. Right? But it will be wrong when I have not gone to the party meeting and then I'm letting the public know. That's not the point. That's not the reason.
Perhaps the same, maybe different now. What would you recommend? Because virtually every political party is talking about zoning and the rest of it. What's your take on the idea of zoning a particular post for a particular region as opposed to merit?
Now, when you talk about zoning, you see, you know, it's very dangerous. Like when I came in on board, and people were saying, oh, that the position shouldn't come to us and this and this and that because my predecessor come from the same ethnic group with me and this and that. And there was an argument that said, look, what are you talking about? We're opposition party. We never occupy what we want to do is to win the election. As opposition party, we look at all variables. What will make us to win the election first? That's what is important to us. The ruling party, yes, they can say that.
Not development.
No, what I'm talking about, the ruling party can say that. But for opposition party, we look at all variables. That's how it is done.
But they say it's the same thing for all political parties.
No.
What will make you win, as opposed to development of...
No. What is asking, or what he asks,
what would you recommend?
Talking about zoning, what is my position about that zoning, you know, in Nigeria? That's what he asks. And I said, look, it depends. As an opposition party, we look at all variables.
So all opposition parties look at that?
I said, as an opposition party, which we are, forget about other parties. I mean, you know, when you talk about opposition, you know what is opposition. It's not because you registered 70 parties. Those ones are not opposition party. The opposition party today in this country is PDP. So we look at all variables. And our own concern, how do we win? How do we take back power? You understand me? So it's not one factor that will influence. So many variables will come into play. So it will be wrong for me as an opposition to say, look, I will say this should be done now. No, I will not do that.
As you build up to that convention, there's a statement that you made. I know you don't want to talk about the zoning arrangement, but you also said that if the PDP is not careful, the way they're going, the crisis in the APC will be something less. And that's a statement you made.
Yeah.
Maybe you saw something in the future, maybe based on things happening now.
I said so. And if you watch, that was why when this was secretary, I didn't say that Obasile should not be accepted. But what I said, look, he's coming from another party to PDP. Resolve the internal crisis. Did you understand me? So everybody will be on the same page. And when that was done, he started enthusiasm. The same thing applies that I have advised the National Working Committee. Look, it doesn't matter what anybody's interest may be. You look at states, you don't say one man should be totally in charge. No one man can tell you they will move to state. No, it requires a collective effort of people. So if the National Working Committee does not look into some of the states that do not have governors, in order to bring everybody together, it is not also easy to bring everybody together. But an attempt is being made, not just an attempt, serious attempt being made to say, look, we have heard what you said, but for us to move forward, can't we do it this way, can't we do it this way? In that way, no matter how difficult you are, if you really believe in the party, if you're really committed to the party, it's okay. Because of this and that, I agree we should do like this. And then everybody will move on. That was why in Edo, all the aspirants came together. So we have agreed.
So you don't think the PDP is still heading towards that crisis?
No, what I'm trying to say is that if that step is not taken, you cannot rule it out. I mean, people must say the truth. It's natural. And I don't want my party to explode as it is in the APC. We cannot take that kind of impurity. We are not ruling party. We are opposition party. It's only the ruling party that appears to show some level of impunity. But as an opposition party, you don't take that kind of chance. What you do is try as much as you can to build. That's how it is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to actually wrap our heads around. There's a lot of questions from social media,
Yes.
people putting in questions, but this is I want to quickly take you up on as we wind down. Now, in the wake of this, Black Lives Matter campaign and what have you, a lot of people have been agitating for, places to be, the names of places that were named after, colonial personalities, especially people with questionable characters, be changed. For example, Port Harcourt, which is said to be named after Harcourt, and the allegations of, some sexual discrepancies around him. Is that something you've heard, maybe you are considering?
Are you asking me whether...
Are you going to rename the city?
Yeah.
Well, you cannot. It's not easy. You have a constitutional amendment because it's in the constitution. So I cannot just say today there's not the city, the capital of the River State is not Port Harcourt. That requires a constitutional amendment.
Would you move for that?
Is that our major problem? Why do we chase shadows? Why not? Does that affect the development of the state? Is that what's creating unemployment in the country? No. We should focus on things that we know are problems for us.
Like
Now,
security.
not the question of this name is here, this name is not there. Is that going to give you food? Is that going to put food on your table? We shouldn't be chasing shadows. We should face reality. What is our problem in this state? We don't have infrastructure, for example. Our health sector probably is not working. Our education system maybe is not working. Is it because the city is named Port Harcourt? Is that why we didn't have infrastructure, basic infrastructure? Focus on the major things that should bring about development for your people. And not until that will not help.
One equally important thing about the forthcoming Edo elections is, security is there, but what would you want to see INEC do differently?
Yes, I don't know whether I have that 100% confidence. I don't know. But as time goes by, we'll see what. What I would want INEC, there are times you should say, look, we are from all this country. A lot of people say we are giants of Africa. As giants of Africa, we must show where people can come and learn from us. That's what makes us giant. Not we going to monitor elections in other areas. Oh, election in Ghana. Oh, very good. There's no any way I can have 100% success, no. But at least what people can believe that yes, I think we're improving. So what I expect INEC to do, look, let's take this Edo to show example to Nigerians that look, all these things, we are doing our best, and look at the way we are going to do it. Do not be partial. I have had in this state, and a very funny thing, and I have asked INEC that question. You print 2 result sheets, the opposition will have the one, then you bring one to the field, then they fill the result. Then when they get to tribunal, do you know what happened? The court will go and accept. It's very funny. How did you get this original result? INEC is supposed to have one. And INEC has certified their own results. But the court took their own original. But in fact, from police, not even duplicate copy. Police certified original result sheet. So you ask yourself, how did people get the original result sheet? Where did they print it from? How did they know the code number? So INEC should be able to say, look, we are ready. Yes, we have made mistakes. Yes, we have lapses.
Okay.
And so we now want to use this election to correct those lapses. Everything should be transparent.
All right. We've got a few more minutes when we come back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. It's our concluding moments now. Your Excellency, today the governors are reported to have said that they are indeed concerned about security. They think so many things have gone out of hand. But there are questions as to, is that all that the governors can do about security in the country?
Very interesting question. It's not because you're a governor. Everybody should be concerned. Every Nigerian is concerned about the threat of security in the country. So it has not to do with the governors have said. Now, I have read this issue. That's why I said, in everything Nigeria is politics.
Even security?
Yes. It can be politicized.
How?
Look at it this way. National Assembly came up, look, Mr. President, this is out of hand. We can't continue with this. Your security has, look, there's the need for you to inject new blood. What happened? What did they say? What was the reply? That's the prerogative of the president. We agree. We're not, National Assembly is not saying that they would appoint. But they're also concerned about security.
But they can do more than that.
What can they do?
They can amend the laws to give state governors more power. You said you're just...
Look, I don't know, until that is amended, you have when they talk about state police again.
But why are the governors not pushing for that?
They are doing that, but constitutional amendment has not started. You cannot just go and take only one item and amend and come back for them.
The last time they tried it, it fell through. It didn't succeed.
No, it did not work. But with the rising security in the country today, you don't need to be told that, look, you have no option but that. You are aware, you are aware here that whilst everything has been politicized. Remember in 2015, when this insurgency was in the state, my state, what did they say? They said it's a lie that's been politics, that PDP was killing APC people, and this. Not that during an election. Kidnapping, courtesan. Nobody supported me. Nobody. I laughed. But what is happening today? Every state, there's courtesan, there's kidnapping, and I told them. When it was happening in Rivers State, what did you do?
Are you also asking for the removal of service chiefs too?
If National Assembly, you know the problem you have in this country that when you make a view, it turns personal. People protest against Trump. Nobody was jailed. Do you understand me? Here, if you say something against IG, you are insulting me. If you say something against Chief Minister, you are insulting me.
Yeah, but
when you are talking about interests,
yeah, but people think that
country,
this is papering over cracks because service chiefs have always been changed. Service chiefs will be changed, and this security challenge still remains. That is the APC administration we are seeing. Not the APC administration. No, but even if they care for Nigerians, if they really believe that the security of the nation, of Nigerians, is important to them, we as the opposition party, what do? We don't have any power. But when the party did, well, the party did. Look, the party has said everything. You know, the problem we have in this country is that even when opposition says something, you know it's correct.
You said that you won't do it because the opposition said it. What kind of system is this? Even when you know that this thing is right, but you say you wouldn't implement because it came from the opposition.
All right.
What kind of, is that the way things are done? So if you say something I know will help my state to move forward, I will not do it because it was you that said it. Who's losing?
Okay. Just before we go, and on a lighter note as well, when we came through, we saw some billboards in the city. Yes, they did address you as Your Excellency, CON, that we know. But then there was GSSRS, POS Africa. What do those mean?
Just the Grand Service Star of River State. All governors and former governors who have contributed to the state. The state came and passed a law that in order to reward hard work, not only us, even those who education needs who have contributed in the state. We have that GSSRS, we have DSSRS, and just the single service star of River State. But the highest award is the Grand Service Star of River State. So we still have some of them that are lower. There are those who have, like Adokia Mesmeka, who played for Super Eagles and won the Nations Cup. For such Rivers people, you need to reward them so that to encourage other people. One other boy who was very good in IT, in fact, in my SA now, he was also given an award. So it's backed up by law. Now, POS is a power of sports in Africa. That was given to me by in Brussels because of my contribution towards sports development. This area, AIPS, African, headed by our brother Michel Obi. He's the president for Africa. And then, so when they saw my development, and particularly the Real Madrid Academy, they said, no, it's important to give you an award so that I can encourage you to do further endeavor, not on chase or other things.
Okay, because they are still Barcelona fans.
Well, Barcelona couldn't make it this time, so they have to endure.
All right, we do thank you for talking to us this morning. His Excellency Nyesom Wike, Governor of Rivers State. Well, that is Sunrise Daily today, and we came to you live from Port Harcourt. Thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Kayode Pikelu.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Please keep safe and have a wonderful day.